Okay. Hello. So this is an actual intentional live stream this time. Last time I did one, it was unintentional. I was recording something for work, but I clicked, I don't know, it started recording anyway. It recorded it and streamed it at the same time, so that was pretty bad. But I'm actually, I'm designing something today, so I started this a little while ago. I say a little while, not really that long ago. This is the binary clock that I was building. Do you remember that project? The one that I said that I was going to turn into a kit build? Well, that is it. Oh look, we've got some people here. So we've got Cheap Vlog, Colin Hinkley, Dundee Road, Miggy Man Mike, and Trent Sterling. Hello. And some other people besides who aren't chatting, but that's cool. Hello to everyone. So I'm in Eagle at the moment. Eagle has changed a lot recently. Have you noticed these... I think Autodesk has taken over Eagle now, so it's changed a bit. And I now have about 7 different versions of Eagle installed on the same computer. When you install the update, it doesn't remove the previous version. Anyway, this is the newest version, I think, but it's what we're using. And so this is my current sort of setup. This is my schematic for the binary clock. So I've sort of set it up in a weird way. This is probably not how you would normally write a schematic, but it makes sense in my head to do it this way. You'll have to let me know if the resolution's too low or anything to really see this. So we've got hours in tens, single hours, tens of minutes, single minutes, tens of seconds, and single seconds. Now you'll realize this isn't what you might strictly call a binary clock. It's binary representation of single digits, which is easier to do than perhaps a full number in binary, which I imagine would require, these days at least, a proper processor to do it. You need a microcontroller in order to figure out what it is. Anyway, this is our setup, and largely they're all the same. I do need to make some changes to the reset lines, but I'm not going to do that today. Because I still have it on the breadboard and it's a bit weird. I think I need to debounce my buttons because they're not working very well. But I have sort of started setting stuff up here. We've got one button which will control sort of a super high speed change of these LEDs. So when you're setting the time, I don't want people to have to press 59 times for the minutes just because it's 59 minutes past or whatever. I want them to be able to hold it down and then it will spin through a very quick rate. I think 256 is probably a bit high, but 256 hertz. So might have to choose a different one. So I'm sort of setting this up. Again, this isn't going to be me doing an awful lot in Eagle. I just wanted to sort of update you and let you know I haven't just disappeared. I am still working on it. I've just been extremely busy with work at the moment. Almost like doing stuff every night now. So, but hopefully, once I get past all the busy stuff, I will I'll continue this and release it. Because I don't want it to be one of these projects you just sell. It's just, I just want you guys to have it, mod it, do whatever you like with it, really. So some questions, I'll jump onto that. Why not Altium? I don't know, I know that Altium is the sort of one that people use in industry. I get that. But I think at the time when I first started learning Eagle, which was the very first schematic bit of software that I'd ever used, Altium was quite costly. As I recall, it was something in the region of £800. and there wasn't a license I could get through work or anything. So I picked this up and I've learnt it, and it's, you know, it's good. It works fine for me. So I haven't had the need to just sort of discover anything else. There are sort of some issues with this and board sizes if you have the sort of free version and stuff. So maybe you'd go for something new like KiCad, or even, oh God, I don't even know if I want to mention, what was it? Easy EDA? I don't know. They keep emailing me. The online thing I don't really like. I did have a go at KiCad. I liked it, but I think I liked the way that you create parts in Eagle a bit better. Plus, there's a lot of already user-generated material for Eagle. Plus, this the ULP thing is awesome in the way that you can lay out LEDs. Do you remember that round clock? Was that a binary? I can't remember. Let's have a look at it. I did this clock ages ago. You'll see all my projects now. They're all down here. These are all the things I've not finished. So let's see. There was one that I did, round clock. Was that the one? It probably is this one. Yeah, that's it. So, oh God, what? Yeah, why not? Okay. So you can use these ULPs. I can't remember what it stands for. No, I can't remember. To lay out components in Eagle, which I really like. So that's one of the other reasons I'm sort of sticking with it, because I understand how it works. Anyway, let's jump back into the binary clock thing. I don't know if you hear the bings. Hopefully you don't, because it makes these, you know, Eagle's got a habit of binging all the time when I'm trying to do something. Sorry, I'm drinking coffee at the same time. It's a bit rude. Anyway, so that's why I stick with Eagle. I'm just used to it, and I like some of the features. And I think when you get into software and you start liking the features, you get good at it, get creative with it, and it can become a nice experience to use. Whereas new software isn't usually a nice experience until you've gotten used to it. So I enjoy routing through Eagle because I'm used to it. Howard says, it'd be great if we knew what you were making. Oh, sorry, I thought I explained that at the start. Maybe you came a bit late. Yeah, it's the binary clock. So this is the schematic, minutes, single minutes, seconds, tens, all the way down. And then over here we've got our 1 Hertz timer, which is just a 4060 and a 4027 as a binary. Well, it's a JK flip-flop, isn't it? So that is what it's doing. It's just taking one input and then dividing by 2, essentially. And this is currently my layout, but it sucks. And what I'd really like to do is change it. But I wanted most, if not all of it, to be through-hole. And then I realized the through-hole packages for these 4510s and the, I think it's 4070, they're just too large, and so the board's going to become really expensive. So I can overlay these, so I can put one on either side, which is what I've done here. So this is my 47, what is that, 4017? I don't think I remember what that one does. Hang on a minute. Let me see it in my schematic, see if I can find it. 4017. Oh yeah, I'm not using the 4017 anymore. I'm using a 4071, I think. I need to switch that out. But essentially, it's the same number of components. I haven't changed the number. I've just switched out the chip. So rather than... So with this, I'll start from the beginning because I'm talking as if you guys have been with me on this the whole time. But with the counting of these binary LEDs when they go up, we only want it to go to 9 on the minutes and on the seconds, on the sort of little digits. And I can use the chip normally to do that. It will go up to 9 and then reset, and that's fine. But on the tens of seconds and the tens of minutes, they can only go up to 5. And so I needed to find a way of resetting that chip when it got to there, but also carrying that signal over to the next set. Now, here I'm using 4017s. Now that's a binary decade counter. It's a Johnson counter, I think. And I decided that that was a poor choice. So I've merged the two together and added another chip somewhere else. And I think it's a 4070. Let me quickly Google it. What is it? Or was it 4074? Oh, someone might be able to come up with the answer, but it's an AND gate. So AND gate IC CMOS. I can't remember the number just because it's kind of, I know it doesn't seem like it's late, but it's late in my head. 4081? Could it be that? I don't know. There's this awesome web page I love to go on. I go on it all the time to look things up, and it's this one. It's the list of 4000 series integrated circuits, and I'll just scroll down a little bit. It's honestly cool. I really like it. So it's got the part number here and then a short description of what it is. And if I just do a search on here for AND, NAND, quad NAND, I think is it 4084 maybe? And triple input AND gate. Yeah, it's a 4073. That is the one that I'm using. So yeah, the 4073 is now has become the chip that I'm using. So what happens is when the 4051 and the when the seconds and the bigger seconds are at 5 and 9, then it resets. So it does the carryover signal for over here, and you get the same over here, and then we use the same or similar thing with the hours. So it's an easier chip to use. It's a single chip, and I don't need those other components, but I can replace things with other bits. I'm using mostly through-hole components here, and it's sort of for good reason, because it's going to be a kit. I want it to be a bit more accessible. These SMD ICs are very easy to solder. These are pretty large pin pitch, so should be easy enough to solder. And I would like to use through-hole components for everything else. Now, I am adding transistors into this circuit, because I think people might want to control larger lights. So I'll add transistors in, and we may use some smaller resistors or something. We might use some of those inline resistors instead. You know, they're like a chip in themselves. I don't really know what they're called. And I might sort of refactor it a bit, because it's kind of a mess, isn't it? It just looks a bit hokey to me. So it's certainly not up to my usual standards of compactness and stuff. I mean, there's other boards that I've done have been really freaking cool. I say really freaking cool, I don't know. Is that, no, that one's not. Not that one. Don't look at that one. I can't get it off the screen fast enough. Let's find a different one. Portable 80 Mega 328, how about that one? Oh, that one's a bit more compact. That had a boost converter on it. That was actually pretty cool. That was an LT1302. That sounds wrong to me, but it's a little 5-volt boost thing. Oh yeah, was it a SAM-D21? Yeah, there you go. So some of them I've done are quite complex. This is it was meant to be a 0 clone, and I wanted to be in a square form factor so that it was stackable and had stackable shields, but I never really, I don't know, why didn't I finish it? I think I wasn't happy with my power supply design up here. It had a boost converter on it, and I was never very satisfied with this up there, so I never did it. Anyway, let's jump back. I don't know why I keep getting carried away. Anyway, it's kind of big. Let's measure the board. There's a measurement thing here somewhere. The icon has changed for it, I think. I thought it was down here. There it is. So the board measures, let's say that's 89 by 53 millimeters, 89 millimeters by 53 millimeters. I'm just looking on our ruler here just so I can see how large that is. So it's pretty big. It is not small. What's that about the size of? About the size of a phone? Yeah, about the size of like a old iPhone or something. So fairly small. Oh, I'm just reading the comments back. Sorry, someone got it. User programming, user language programs. That sounds absolutely perfect. Why not? Oh, someone's already. Peter says, why not use SMT resistors, diodes, and caps? Yeah, it's just for ease of solder, really. I think I'm pushing it with the sort of SMD ICs, to be honest. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get hold of SMD ICs for all of these because they're relatively strange CMOS ones now. I think you can get stuff that deals with like the stuff the 405010 would do. Generally, in the past, would have been interfacing with 4511s to drive 7-segment displays. So I don't think there are. I don't know if they're still in production, but we'll see. And Howard says they're a nightmare to solder unless you have a reflow oven. Yeah, the smaller parts can be. I think 1206 is probably okay for most people, but then anything smaller than that, and then you're sort of in danger of having people who've got poorer eyesight having a bit of trouble putting the parts in the right places, reading the tiny marks in the solder mask. So I'd rather make it pretty accessible. Plus, if kids want to do it, then I'd rather it be through hole. It's great. I mean, this, if it was all through hole, it'd be a great way of learning electronics. And yeah, hopefully people will be able to drive larger LEDs from this if they want to. I think I'd like to use it to drive something a lot larger than this tiny little clock. So I hope to 3D print some LED cubes and then drive those with a transistor. And I'll stick a, not a NeoPixel, I can't remember what the form factor is for those LEDs, but it's I think they're 5050 LEDs is what the form factor is. So I'd like to stick some of those in some little cubes, have some warm white LEDs, and maybe some different colors for the different sort of numbers. So the minutes would be larger than, or maybe even lighter. Maybe the seconds would be dimmer, so they're less distracting. Maybe that might be a good idea. So yeah, I think that'd be all right. I haven't thought about how I'm going to manufacture it or where I'm going to go to. Usually I go to the purple place, which is Osh Park, isn't it? OSH Park. But I wanted to try some boards from Dirty PCBs, and a company called PCB Way looks all right, or at least it does in terms of price. I have no idea if they are actually any good. So I will give those a go. Howard's asked a question. What's it going into? The clock. It's not really going into anything. It's a proof of concept. I did a quick search on the internet for CMOS clocks, and I didn't really find very much. And then I found a few links, but decided I wanted to learn how to do it myself, so I didn't really go and have a look at anything. And I realized I could do it with 7-segment displays using a combination of the 4510, my 1 Hertz timer that I knocked up previously for the frequency counter project, still not finished, and then 4511s to drive 7-segment displays, which I covered in that 4000 series, which sort of hasn't stopped. I just haven't come across anything new that I've had very much experience with that I want to continue with. So I realized I could do it with 7-segment displays, and I thought that sounds pretty good. I could do that. And then I thought, well, more of a challenge is just to do the interface with LEDs. It's a challenge to read, and I just thought it'd be more fun. I've done 7-segment displays before, so it looked like a more interesting challenge. Oh, and he also asked, what type of binary counter is it? Can it be a bedside clock? Yeah, essentially it is a clock, and it's not really strictly a binary clock because it's doing 4-bit binary for each one of these bits. So if I so each one of those bits there, that's 4-bit binary. So it will start from at the bottom here, that is 0, that'll be 1, 2, 4. And then this is 2-bit binary, so that's, not 0, sorry, it's 1, 0 is off, 2, yeah, 1, 2, 4, 8. And then this is 1, 2. So 0 is off. And then we've got, again, 4-bit binary here, we've got 3 there and 4 there. And so you read it as hours, tens of hours, the next single hours, single digit hours, tens of seconds, tens of minutes, tens of minutes, oh, I'm tired, tens of minutes, single hour, oh, whatever. You know what I mean. I'm not going to go through it because I'm stumbling over my own words now. So hopefully it will be all right. I'm anticipating selling it at cost. It's not going to cost anyone a thing apart from the material cost. So if it costs me a stamp to post it to you, that will be how much it costs. If I get all the parts for free, then you'll just pay the stamp that it will cost. So it will just be how much it costs for me to put it together, put the kit together. So I'm hoping it'll be under £10. I don't see why it couldn't be. I don't think the bits are very expensive. And depending on how I sort out these transistors, it might not even come with LEDs and you just get to choose your own. And you put in your own resistors. So that way I'm not forcing you to use certain colors or whatever. You're just getting the bus voltage and then you use your own resistors. Yeah, the 1, 2, 4, 8 is, no, is it? It probably isn't. I've probably done it right, but it should be read from bottom to top, I think. I don't know, but actually maybe the whole board is meant to be viewed from, I don't know. See, you read binary right to left, don't you? So binary is always right to left. And this is left to right. I don't know. Basically, I might have done something wrong. How it says, how will you calibrate it to maintain a 10-hour day? I'm not sure I know what you mean. It's going to be a 24-hour clock, so it would read up to 2, 3, 5, 9, 5, 9, and then reset to 0. So, and then it would start over here at 1 and then go up. So it'd read 24 hours before resetting. Mobius says, fully SMD version would be cool. It would, and it would be so much smaller. It could fit on your wrist, I'm sure, if I used a microcontroller rather than the CMOS logic. The CMOS logic is what's taking up all the real room there, the room that can't be shrunk down any further. In fact, those chips could probably come a bit closer together, but in terms of LEDs, I could squish those into a tiny amount of space, but it is the CMOS ICs. But thinking about that, actually, couldn't we get some flexible PCB material and actually turn this into a watch and have these as part of the wrist strap, so that would go along your wrist, and then at the end you've got LEDs, which really need only be the size of these pads here. That would be what, an 0805 is probably that big, and then you could do that. That would be pretty cool. So that's all it is. That is all it will be. So that is pretty much an update. This is where I am. So the schematic's not quite finished. My breadboard is done, and so I need to transfer everything from the breadboard over to this, which includes removing these 4017s and replacing it with the 4073 that we just had a look at, or 74. I can't remember what number it was now. 4073, I'm pretty sure, which is a really hard chip to get hold of. I had to buy one for £2 off eBay just to test it out. Once that's done, I just need to make sure I'm hooking into the right lines up here on my switches. I think I'm going to have to test the 256 Hertz signal for changing the time. I think what I'm doing with that is feeding that into the seconds, because my whole circuit runs off the seconds as its principal operation. So if you look at, oops, sorry, I'm jumping around really quick. I didn't mean to. So our singles. So the principal operation is that this 4060 and 4027 combo, along with a watch crystal, the 32768 kilohertz one, will be kicking out a 1 hertz pulse. That's once every second. That goes into the single seconds here at the IC clock signal, I think. Let's check out where 1 hertz is coming from. IC clock. I mean, I don't see where I've put IC clock at the moment, but I'm pretty sure that's the IC. Anyway, it goes into seconds, so it should go into the clock signal. And then the output of this, so once it gets to 9, the clock out goes to tens. Tens goes into clock in here, and the IC clock is still the clock signal, so it ticks over at the same clock signal. And then this is the out here, so all of it starts from the IC clock, which heaven knows where it is. Is it over here? Yeah, there we go, IC clock. So this is a switch to turn it on and off. So yeah, that's right. So 1 hertz goes into through the switch, and you're able to turn the clock on and off. And then we can use these switches to manually increase the count, which is for setting time. I mean, I did sort of joke that maybe you'd only be able to set the time at 12 in the evening, bang on. So when you turned it on, it would have a count of 0, and it'd be the only time that you could turn it on. I would provide no other way of setting the time, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to provide a way of resetting and setting the time. Problem is with these ICs, these little CMOS ones, right? If you've put them in a circuit and you've got, you know, the stray voltage. If you run your finger down the pins, you can affect these things. You can trigger the clock. So when you just switch it on, there's so much going on in that circuit that they add sort of random counts on. They've got random things in their sort of memory already. So resetting is essential. So I've got to do that. And I found that I needed to have reset lines with diodes on some of these. So where I've got the 4073 going to reset chips, if I just press reset on one, it's actually still connected to the hours and the seconds and minutes. So it ended up resetting the whole circuit, and at the wrong time as well. So diode steering is essential for this at the moment, and I need to put those in the right place because it actually should be on the... Oh no, it is over here. It's on the seconds as well. That's okay. So yeah, diodes, very important. So yeah, anyway, that's just what I wanted to sort of talk about, was that this is still coming along. I'll jump back a little bit in the chat, and then I'm going to move on to the next sort of topic, which I've got nothing to show you for. It's just going to be me talking about it. So Howard says the bits are way more expensive. The PCB will be £4. Yeah, I think the PCB might actually end up being cheaper. There's this company called PCBWay, and they contacted me and said we could give you, if you say that you got your stuff from here, then we'll give you a voucher or whatever. So I might just do that and get them all printed there, so it doesn't cost everyone so much. The bottom one, oh no, the bottom must be one of your explanation. So the 1, 2 and 4, 8 must be silk screens backwards. Yeah, it is. So hang on, we can figure it out actually. So Q1 is, oh my word, what have I done there? Undo. Q1 is going to be 1, and then 2 is 2, 3 is 4, 4 is 8, and yeah, that's right. So LED 7 should be 1. So let's jump to LED 7 on here. I know there's a way of finding them, but I don't know. LED 24. LED 17. LED 1. LED 8. Oh God, where is it? Does someone remember the secret code to locate an IC or a package in here? I don't think anyone does, or not. At least you've not caught up yet, I guess. So there's. I just want LED 7, LED 4, 3, 2. This is ridiculous. 6, 7. Okay, so it is the wrong way round. So this should be, this bottom one here should be 1, and then it goes 2, 3. So yeah, I was wrong. That is the wrong way round. But that's all right, because it should be read from bottom to top rather than top to bottom. So I will move these around. In fact, let's just do it now while we're here, because then I won't get it wrong later. I think it's not even going to be visible because there's going to be a switch over the top of that. Uh-oh. Let's move this one up. Am I even on the, I'm not even on the move tool. Just, oh, there we go. All right, let's just move these around. They don't seem equally spaced, but whatever. Well, it's because they're not. So in line roughly with the center of the LED. There we go. Okay, so it'll be 1, 2, 4, 8. Right, I'm glad that's sorted. I'll just save that. Yeah, let me just, I'm still in the comments, so I've not seen anything past that. Which side of the board are the LEDs on? Are we looking at it mirrored? No, you're looking at the front of the board. So this is the side the LEDs would be on, but I mean, I would like to see people use some different LEDs maybe rather than just stock LEDs, but it's up to whoever makes it really. That's honestly, the bit where the resistors are and the LEDs is by the by. It's all the circuitry behind it which will really drive it. Bear Gun says, is this the binary coded decimal clock? Yes, it is. We've just been chatting about it. You're welcome to skip back. I'll make this stream available afterwards. It's not one of these, I'm accidentally drunk and doing a stream thing, so we'll be all right. Maybe it says Osh Park just started selling flexible. Do you know what? I might treat myself and make one just for a laugh. It's not going to be waterproof or anything, but Bryn. Is it Bryn or Brian? I'm going to go with Bryn. I'm not sure though. Will it go to 24 or will it go to 24 to 01 or will it go to 2359 to 0? It will go from 2359 to 0. I'm doing that through the AND gate. So it knows if it's a triple input AND gate. So if if it's 2, 3, 5, if that's how the thing goes and the next clock pulse comes around, then then it resets. So yeah, so the next time the next clock pulse is when it's on 23, it resets to 0, 0, 0. Peter says, why not use TSOP? I say TSOP. Hopefully that's the right how you meant to say it. Yeah, I suppose there are lots of smaller ones, but I want to make it really accessible for people to be able to solder themselves and not frightening. I'd like it to be something people can solder. The Nether Sleeper, maybe a Minecraft player. Hey David, I've got 10 times 18650 and I want to make a high-powered torch with them. What LED chip should I be looking for, and where would the best place to buy from? God. Paco says Alt F4. Thanks, Paco. I'm glad I'm not stupid enough to do Alt F4. That one's a bit of an old trope these days, isn't it? 10 times 18650 cells. I mean, that's a lot. You know, you could power some pretty high-powered stuff with voltage that high. I honestly have no idea. You're going to be looking at some like cob LEDs, aren't you? Really? I think I just do a quick search on YouTube for high-powered torch. A lot of people make them with sort of CPU heat sinks on the back, so they're worthwhile to look. But it's not something I've ever dabbled in. Colin says, I've got a small channel and I was contacted by a company, YoStar PCB, and they were pretty keen to get visibility so they could be contended too. Yeah, I'll take a look. I'm happy to speak to anyone. If the PCBs come out rubbish, I mean, obviously I'd just say they were. Bryn, it is Bryn, good. That's a Welsh name, isn't it, I think? So I'm at the end of the comments, which means I'm going to move on to the next topic. I'm not going to take this off the screen because I need you to have something to look at. But I recently upgraded. I said upgraded like that so you'd get an idea that I was doing those quotes in the air. But I have upgraded my computer a little bit. So my computer is... in fact, I made a video about this yesterday and I thought it was so crap that I've decided not to publish it because I've stupidly made a video about something I know nothing about, and it was just to show you my experience. So I wanted to upgrade my PC a little bit by sticking on this what are they called? Sorry, I'm so tired now. It's really difficult. It was a new cooler. That's what I'm talking about. So my CPU, which is a Core i5-3570K, is the overclockable version of, what is it, a Skylake? I think it's a Skylake CPU. It probably isn't actually. It's probably a bit older than that. But I made this PC in 2012, and it was my second ever PC build. I'm just trying to find something to show you. Ah, there we go. Close. So my computer's doing a fair amount at the moment, as you can probably see from this monitor thing. But it used to get up to temperatures which were very, very high, and I'm talking like in the 90s. And I was worried about it if I was going to overclock anything. So Racing Stripes, John, I can see that. That's perfect. I definitely should have done that. But yeah, it was getting up to the like 80s, 90s area, which means definitely can't overclock. And I want to be able to overclock this machine so that I can get a couple more years out of it. With 4K video editing, man, does that take a while, but it also stresses my CPU and my GPU, which means the temperatures inside the case increase, which means cooling is more difficult. More difficult? Yeah, that sounds silly. Cooling is harder, essentially, because the ambient temperature inside the case is higher. And so when air's being dragged in through my circa 2002 cream-coloured PC case, I haven't updated it since I did my first PC build, which was an Intel 8300 dual-core machine, something like 2.3 gigahertz or something. I can't remember now. It's such a long time ago. Maybe 1.8. It was a while back. So I'm still using the same case, partly because I don't think people would nick it because it looks so rubbish, but also just because I'm used to it. And I put my feet up on it. My feet are up on it now when I sit at my desk. I'm just used to it. I like him. So I'm just using the same case. So the ambient temperatures are pretty high. Look, the system internal temperature, according to this, is 24 degrees. It's not 24 degrees in this room. It's probably close to 18. So I replaced it, and we're now running a lot cooler when I'm doing something which I'm streaming 1080p video to you. So my CPU usage is about 50, well, let's go with 45% roughly. So it's doing pretty well. But as I said, I wanted to change that. And I think I can show you some. So when I was rendering footage, this is 10 minutes into a render. This is the temperature. So I took a little screen cap. We're at 100% CPU usage, 83 degrees, 84. And the temperature in the room was pretty low. We're talking like 18 degrees. So if it was actually a hot day, then it gets like really high. And these were the maximum temperatures, so 89, 90. So impossible to overclock at that kind of level. And it's just going to save me money if I do it. And these are the ambient temperature levels. So this is the CPU doing nothing. It hasn't been doing anything for a while. And if you look at the temperatures now, you know, they're pretty similar to this. So the stock cooler wasn't doing a great job. Now, when I took it apart, I noticed that the thermal paste in it had dried up. So actually replacing that might have worked well, but I'd already got the cooler. So the results were that on idle, which we won't be able to see now because it's the CPU's running at 50% roughly, but my idle temperatures are about 37, 28, 33. So 33 across the board pretty much. And then while rendering, if I can load one up, there we go. While rendering, it's about 52, 56. So about 55 degrees. So fine. It means I can overclock, save a bit of money, and spend some more money on a new 3D printer, which is hopefully what I'll do. So yeah, it was it's not even an expensive cooler. It's 20 quid. So it saves me a lot of money if I can overclock. So I'm quite happy that I can do that. My machine is still good. I mean, it's like it's got 16 gig of RAM. The processor can go to 3.8 gig. And the motherboard's fairly old now, but you know, it's still got USB 3 and stuff. So I'm all right with it. And it's got a GTX 970 in it to help with offloading graphics stuff. Colin says, by the way, one of your items on the Amazon wish list is on its way. I'd say it's winging its way to you, but looks at the delivery and it's being hand carried. Well, thank you very much, mate. Yeah, I did pick like the cheapest things I could find, and it's probably, I imagine, a little wireless breadboard. What do I mean? I'm too tired to even think. It's a breadboard anyway, which is very kind because I've used all of my breadboards at the moment. So thank you very much. Meggy Man Mike says my case is older. Is your case still cream? Mine is. I got it from this company called Downtown Computers in Leicester, who I think might still be around, but I bought like a bare bones PC off them because I wanted to use the same RAM that I had from my previous computer, which is an Athlon XP 2400, I think. That's like well over a decade ago now. Oh yeah, no, it's more than a decade. So that's probably 15, 16 years ago. Yeah, long time. Bryn says, clean all of the dust bunnies out of the case. Yeah, I did actually. I bought this cool thing. In fact, I'll put a little very short video together from this really crap one that I showed you, me replacing my cooler. I just thought, this is rubbish. No one's going to want to watch this. So I filmed like 10 minutes of me doing it, but I might stick it together anyway and just try and make 3 minutes out of it. Hey, see, Tonic's here. Hello. Upgrading the case might help temperatures. I imagine such an old case will have bad thermals. Yeah, it's got a vented side panel, so it's a little bit more up to date than some of the older ones. But I've put an extra fan in the front, and there's a rear exhaust fan, which it didn't come with. So there is some airflow, but I'm kind of happy with the way it is now at the moment, so it'll be okay. Dust for starters. You can also look and see if you can add exhaust intake fans. Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry, Miggy, I'm not quite there yet, but I have got exhaust and intake fans. Oh, what have we got next? So solderless breadboard. Yeah, that sounds right, doesn't it? It's the solderless bit I don't get, because I've never used a breadboard that you solder to. Breadboard comes from literally a breadboard, doesn't it? People hammering nails into a wooden board. A Global Win 802. Old modder's case, not pretty, but whole motherboard section slides out. Wow. At least you're not a poor student who's attempting to run Altium on an old HP laptop. Mate, I used to be a poor student. At one point in my life, I was living off £1 a day as a student. I don't really know how I survived, because £1 a day in the UK isn't a lot. You don't manage to feed yourself very well with £1 a day, especially if you're not a budgeting student who goes out and buys enough food to last the week with all the pounds added together. It was just, what can I get for £1 today? When I was a poor student, God, I didn't even have the internet. We didn't have the internet at home when I was a student. It was that long ago. Thermal paste only needs to be liquid when you seat the cooler. That's interesting. I didn't know that. So yeah, I've sorted that out and I'm quite happy that it's working. So the next adventure will be trying to overclock. Now, again, as I'm more than happy to admit, overclocking a CPU, doing anything more than monitoring the temperatures with this program is well out of my league. So I will be watching as many YouTube videos as I can, really, and hoping that it works out. Yeah, okay, I'll move on from the computer thing, because it's probably not everyone's bag, although I'm heavily invested in sorting my computer out. I think, so actually, there's one thing someone said that I thought I'd address. It's Super Boobaloo. Okay, he said, baffled as to why YouTube is so obsessed with 4K. Most of us can't see it. That's true. I can't see 4K. I don't have a 4K monitor. I have my laptop at work is a 4K laptop, but I don't use my laptop for this stuff. And I film 4K for work, but usually it's about having options with framing. So if I'm shooting 4K, I can zoom in by like 50% and lose no quality in the image, because you're just getting a 1080p frame from it. I can also downscale to 1080p if I want to, the whole image, and you get a sharper image. You also have options where if you have a blurry image because your autofocus sucks, or your manual human focus is terrible, then you can downscale an image and sharpen it up more, be more aggressive with sharpening. You can also shoot in lower light, because when you brighten an image up and then rescale it down, you remove a lot of the noise that was there before, because when you scale an image down, you're averaging anyway, so you average the noise to a lower level. So there are lots of reasons why you should shoot 4K, but there are loads of reasons why you shouldn't. For example, the video I did yesterday that I'm not even going to use now takes up 30 gigabytes of hard drive space, and I'm not doing anything with it. And the high altitude balloon thing that I did with those students, the footage from that day and from the camera that was on board, and from the edits later and from the screencasts that I did to show you where the balloon went, that's 125 gigabytes of space on my computer. So it's honestly, sometimes it's not worth it, but sometimes it is. And when I'm editing, I can zoom in and it's just cool. I like it. I don't need to use 4K, but I think it's nice, so why not? But it is 4 times as many pixels as 1080p, so it's big. First upgrade is SSD to boot from, and even more space for your fast. Second enough RAM, boosting CPU is only give you a few percent. I like water cooling radiator. I've got an SSD, I've got 2 other hard drives, and I've got 16 gig of RAM. I've got enough for the 4K thing. It's just like to, before I upgrade, I just want to, before I upgrade my motherboard CPU solution, I want to get as much performance out of this system as I can. Anyway, the next thing I wanted to move off this topic now, because it's not everyone's bag. But I picked up a new single board computer. Let me Google it and pull it up on screen for you. And it is coming from Reichelt. Let's see if I can find if I can spell Reichelt. No, I can't. Crumbs. Is this it? There we go. So I've got this on its way. This is the Banana Pi. God, that is massive. I don't know what it looks like on your stream. Hang on. Okay, it looks fine. So this is the Banana Pi M3, which is like a single board computer. Oh, there's another image there. It's just the back side of the board. Another single board computer, a bit like a Raspberry Pi. So I like the idea of doing this because you've got the Raspberry Pi, the Orange Pi. Is it this one? It was at 80 euros? I don't think it was that when I bought it. Banana Pi, Raspberry Pi, and the Orange Pi. Now, I've given away the Orange Pi to one of you guys. I can't remember, it was in that giveaway thing, because I hated it. I really didn't like it. But that was because of the software and the weird power requirements. Like, it was so fussy with power, more fussy than any other board I've worked with. I'm hoping the Banana Pi is not going to be quite so bad with power. Like with a Raspberry Pi, you can literally power it from a power bank. You can stick a few AA batteries together. You might get a little warning thing, but at least it'll boot up, boot up all the way. But the Orange Pis seem to be terrible for it. Anyway, I've picked one of these up. It's an octa-core processor. I've never owned an octa-core processor, so it's kind of exciting. I don't think I'll make anywhere near the kind of use of it that like other Linux distributions might. It's probably just going to run their equivalent of Raspberry, and I bet it's. I haven't even looked it up because it's not even out of the box yet. It is here. It's arrived. I just need to find some time to do it, and I'm working a lot. But yeah, we've got an octa-core processor. It's got 2 gig of RAM. This thing's better than my phone, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it should be fun to play. Ubuntu, that's what I was thinking of. So it's probably going to run Ubuntu, but we'll run Raspbian on it as well, because I'd like to do a little comparison between this M3 and the Raspberry Pi 3. So I've got both of them, and I thought we'd do a little comparison. I think the Banana Pi M3 is, in terms of specs, it's a lot higher. So anything that's going to do multi-threaded applications, it's going to sort of destroy the competition, isn't it, really? It's pretty good. But again, I don't know if the Banana Pi stuff has the same kind of community that the Raspberry Pi does. I know that the Raspberry Pi is a lot more accessible, but Banana Pi not so much, especially since it's very difficult to get hold of this thing. Reichelt was the cheapest place to get this. I'm sure it was. It's a very expensive one. There are cheaper versions of the banana pies around. The Tinker, that I like the idea of that just because it's made by Asus. Why is that banana pie so expensive? I thought it was one of these cheaper ones. Maybe I've picked up a cheaper one. Maybe it's the M2 Plus. No, I can't remember. God, it's too long ago. Yeah, it seemed to be the cheapest that you could find anywhere, but it seems to be a bit more expensive now. I thought it was in the $50 range, but before I do a full-on video about it, we'll look at it properly. So the if I just jump back, this is it's an odd arrangement. This, so there's two versions of this board that are floating around. So there is one with this power jack here, but there's also one, and it's got the same footprint. Everything's the same about it, except it has one that accepts USB power instead. Now this board isn't really that much different to a Raspberry Pi, which will also accept USB power, but they decided to omit it and put a DC jack in. It's a really odd DC jack. I wonder if we can see the... it's not here. USB port, GPIO, supported operating systems. The power input, I've had to buy this weird adapter because I couldn't find a single USB to this cable or like a power adapter that would fit in this darn socket. It's like a weird 2.5 to 7.1 or something like that. It's a really strange thing. So yeah, I don't know about it, but we're going to have a look at it anyway, just because it's here. I thought it was going to be cool, but we'll find out. It might be a really interesting sort of media center type deal. It'd be nice. I mean, if it could be a retro Pi, that would be nice, because it's pretty fast. I don't know if retro Pi is probably not going to take advantage of an octo-core thing, is it? Unless Linux just does that by default. I don't know enough about Linux, so yeah, it's an odd arrangement. But there was also one with a USB, which lots of people complained about and said that the tracks on the USB were too small and weren't carrying enough current, dropping too much voltage. So I don't know, odd. We'll investigate it a little bit though. So that should be fun. The other thing I wanted to update you on, let's pull it up actually. Where is it? And this will be the last thing I've got to talk about. And then if you guys have got questions, I will hang around for a little bit longer, but I'm quite tired and would like to have a whiskey and go to bed soon. So is it this thing? What the, oh yeah. So hopefully this doesn't play out. Okay, so... okay, it's talking. I don't want it to be that, what the hell? Sorry, talking to myself. So this thing, let's get rid of the ads. That ad said I was live streaming, that's pretty cool. So where is it finished? Here. So this thing, I like created this little board for it. It took me freaking forever, and then I screwed it up somehow. Well, it ended up working all right, but it was just not very good in terms of efficiency. So that power, the batteries lasted a week. 1 week is all they lasted. I was setting it to sleep for half an hour. So basically, I'd had a conversation with someone in the chat. In fact, not chat, in the comments. Let's have a look. What? Where is it? I replied and everything. Oh, it might be this one. Yeah, it's James Kearns. I don't know if he's here. He might be. But we had a chat about this, and I was hoping, I hadn't tested it, obviously, because I didn't prepare at all for this video. I was hoping that the 3.3 volt pin on the Wemos board. So this was the Wemos social media counter thing. If you don't know what it is, you'll have to jump back, because I'm not going to go from the start, but I used a WeMOS board because they're easy to program, and it was in the development stages for ages, as you know, because it's been one of these ongoing freaking sagas. But so eventually I got it finished. I pulled in Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and this is for my work social media account. I don't have a big ego about my own, so I don't need to monitor those really. I did like figuring out how to do it, but this is sort of a work thing. Just for fun, really. So I'd figured out how to do that. Really excited, took it to work, put it on my desk, and then it was working. And, you know, people were like, oh, that's cool. How did you do that? And so I got to explain it, which is a great way of getting people interested in electronics and IoT stuff. I even managed to convince the IT security people to let me connect this thing via just having a MAC address identified. So they were happy enough to do that because they have those networks where you have to have a web browser to log in and stuff. So it's a bit of an annoying thing. Is that called a walled garden or something like that? I can't remember what it is. Or a captive portal, I think. Anyway, so it was working fine, and then a week later it was dead. And one of the batteries, in there, I mean, they were all dead, but one of the batteries had gone to minus 1.2 volts. So it had reversed. So the internal resistance was overpowered and it flipped polarity, which is just a bit nuts. So I decided that it probably wasn't best to be using batteries when the CH340G, which is the USB comms chip on the board, it's the USB to UART or whatever it might be, I can't remember. But essentially it's my USB serial comms. And it was sucking up so much power. But in reality, it was probably only sucking up like 4 milliamps, or maybe even less than that. But it destroyed these batteries, which probably had a capacity of around 800 milliamps. It ruined those batteries in a week. And so it didn't work. So I've now converted it just to be USB powered. You know, much to my disappointment, but you know, it's going to be sat on top of a computer and only ever really looked at when someone's at the computer. So there's no need for it to be USB powered. What would work fine is if it was a bare ESP8266 and not one that's on a WeMOS board with comms built in. But I had to use the WeMOS because it was constantly in development, and it's a lot easier than plugging in one of these sort of serial to USB external boards and stuff. So yeah, that's changing. So it's going to go into USB format, and from now on I shall not be trying to use the WeMOS boards to have low powered stuff. So that is the answer there. That's what I'm doing with that. Okay, so I'm done with my update. That's me talked out almost. We're 1 hour and 3 minutes into my broadcast, which seems like a fair amount of time. And I quite like to have that whiskey and get ready for bed soon. So if anyone's got any questions, now is the time to ask, and I will open the chat and have a look. Let's see, how do you get the chat out? Pop out chat. And we can look here. And you'll know when your question's popped up if you have a question. Oh, yeah, the extruder. I probably should answer that. So there was a problem with my 3D printer the other day, and I put out a little call for help because, geez, you know when you've tried so many things and nothing seems to be working? Well, this flash forward finder that I've had now for about 2 years has been brilliant, honestly. I've had some things where it's you got filament stuck in there. There was that time that I used wood filament for the first time, then went to the pub while it was going on, and then came back 5 pints later, and it had all burnt to the end of the nozzle. That was a disappointing time, but I fixed it by just taking the nozzle out and cleaning it and everything. It was fine. But recently I've been having real issues with the extruded filament not creating proper infill. So the external perimeter layers were fine, sort of. there'd be a lot of stringing, and there'd be some, you know, when you get like sort of hair bits flying off, there's a lot of that, and I just didn't really understand what was going on, and there were lots of potential causes. And the extruder drive would click, so it meant that it was sticking. I understood what the noise was, but I didn't really understand the cause. I didn't know whether it was it's not hot enough. I'd already cleaned the extruder cog thing, the little sort of grippy wheel that's on the end of the servo. I cleaned that with like a wire brush, and scraped inside with a pair of tweezers, sharp end tweezers. I'd been through, cleaned the extruder out. I bought some tools, so they've arrived. So I'm going to see if I can clean that extruder a little bit more, the nozzle. But I'd put some glow-in-the-dark filament through as well, which is sort of it's coarser, so it can help clean out the nozzle. And nothing was working. And I think it may well have been a combination of things. So there was a problem with, in fact, you know what? While I'm talking, because you don't really have a lot to look at, let's just put the video on and just with no audio. But yeah, I tried a combination of things. So first of all, I tried leveling, because honestly, there's so many times when leveling has been the primary cause of my layers not working correctly, or the infill not sticking properly. It might be that the Z level is too high. I'll just put that there. Oh, and then I want that, not that. Oh no, where did the chat thing go? Hang on a minute. There. So yeah, so many times that the level has been the problem, but in this sort of in this scenario here, what happened was this filament that's printing now, you can actually see on that video that the infill layers are looking all right. Now this is, it's printing at a higher temperature. I just changed the bed level, but the thing is, I was changing more than one thing at a time. I wasn't removing one of these potential issues at a time. So because I'm just really impatient. 3D printing is a long process anyway, so it just takes ages. But it turns out the filament was pretty crap. I've had that stuff there for about 2 years, and it's been inside a plastic box, but for a good few months I didn't know you should do that. So I sort of just left it out in my room, in my little workshop room. So it could have soaked up loads of moisture. In fact, plenty of these filaments could. They have been out once. Then yeah, I've tried everything that I know how, everything I could Google, but I was at my wit's end, so I just got my phone and made a video. But I tried everything, but the one thing I didn't try, and that was probably the big issue, is that I didn't try any new filament. So I was trying 2 filaments that I really liked, and I wanted the color of this. That's a monster there, by the way. I've just published him on Thingiverse. It's a monster from a book called There's a Monster in My Book, and it's sort of it's a fun book for kids, and my mate's kid enjoys reading that book, and I like reading it with him. And so I thought at one point the monster gets out of the book, and you've got to shout at him to get back in the book. So you're trying to get this monster away from your book because it's not nice, and then, oh no, he's suddenly in your room, and then you have to call him back to get in the book again because you're frightened. So I thought they could put this in his room at that point, so he'd see that the monster had escaped. So I designed this up. So it's on Thingiverse. But yeah, so I just changed the filament. I changed it to a BQ filament. I don't know if anyone here has tried BQ filaments, but blooming heck, they're great. I love them. I used one of their grey filaments, and I've had this filament for about a year, but I've kept it in a storage box with those silicone gel packet, not gel packet, I don't know what they're called. You know, when you buy products, you always get one of these packets in there, and it's meant to soak up moisture. Well, every time I get one of those, I just put it in this box with all the filament stuff. So they're really useful. You can also put a box of rice at the bottom, like a little Tupperware with rice, and put holes in it. But yeah, I switched out for this BQ grey filament, and it's worked perfectly. So I think a lot of it was to do with the filament, but because I cleaned the nozzle loads and I put some glow-in-the-dark stuff through, and I'd leveled the bed loads, then it could have been any number of those things. So yeah, it was annoying, but I really appreciate everyone's take on it. It sort of helped me think about what I'd done, and maybe I should have approached it in a different way. I should have gone with trying to eliminate these things one at a time, because now I don't know what the real problem was, unfortunately. Bryn says, can you bake out the filament? Yeah, I can, absolutely. But I think I might just bin these. They're 2 years old. Not bin them, I'm going to recycle them. They're 2 years old. Oh, actually, recycled filament. That rings a bell. A company emailed me recently and asked me if I wanted some recycled filament. They're a UK company, and they've just started to look at selling it, recycled from like plastic bottles or something. Maybe I can pull up the email and it won't reveal too much about my email address, maybe. Don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I'll tell you what the company's called, because it's an interesting thing. I've never really thought about recycled filament. Yeah, the company, I don't really want to share their email address, but the guy said he works for a recycling charity selling 3D. It's called CAEPOST, K-Post. I don't know where they're located. It's their basic website, and they're in the middle of updating it, but it sounds interesting. I like the idea of it. I know that you can buy pellets of recycled stuff, but I didn't know you could get it on a roll, so I might get some and try it out. What does someone else say? I'd like to see some more crap clock. Oh god, the crap clock. Yeah, MK Stevo. Yeah, the crap clock. Honestly, it's basically done. I just need to finish the software. And most of the software is there. It's just setting the alarm and stuff isn't done. And I'm so unmotivated to do it now because it's one of these things that's gone on so long. But I promise I'll do it. I'll try and do it by Christmas, and then I'll release it around then. And what I'll do is I'll basically release everything. So you'll get the schematic, you'll get the board outline in Eagle, and you'll get all the code, and you guys can do what you like with it. And I'd love it if you guys actually made one or improved upon it, which no doubt you will, because you're all freaking clever. But yeah, so you can have it. It's just not going to happen quite yet. Miggy Man Mike says mostly eSun. Oh, you use eSun? Yeah, I've picked up some eSun. What? I think it's yellow or something. I like to. Yeah, eSun was all right. My favourite one is Hatchbox. That has been amazing, and it was super cheap. But now they've sort of put the prices up, which is a shame. Colin says, "Be careful with the glow in the dark, as it wears down your nozzle." Yeah, it does. But luckily, I don't print with it very often. I did print loads with it when I first got my printer, because I didn't know it was quite abrasive, and I really loved it. I bought pink glow in the dark filament, and it was awesome. I really liked it. But yes, I've not stopped using it, but I don't use it so much. I've mainly used it right now for cleaning the nozzle. I put some of it through every, like 15 to 20 prints. I'll put like 20 centimeters through. I don't know. It's just like cleaning, isn't it? I guess flossing my 3D printer. I've already mentioned it under the video, but Avistron works great with the Finder, as well as not sponsored. I'm not sure. Avistron. Sorry, I've not seen your comment on the video yet. So Avistron. I'm just going to do a quick Google. Avistron. What is Avistron? Is it German? Hashtag not sponsored. I wouldn't mind if you were sponsored. You're welcome to. Anyone's welcome to say what they like about about products they enjoy or use. Oh, Reichelt sell it too. That's interesting. Reichelt, right? I know they're based in Germany and everything, but their delivery is super quick. whenever I've picked anything up, yeah, they do have some filament. I might have a look at that. This is what I'm looking at the moment, the Avistron filament here. 25 euros though, is quite pricey. And does it come in a bucket? Oh my God. What a brilliant idea. It comes in its own bucket. That's fantastic. Yeah, so that's sort of resolved for now. You never know when it's going to break again though. Do you know, I use that blue painter's tape on the bed, and I use that to death. Like, I've done 5 prints on the same blue painter's tape, and there'll be like tears on there where I've pulled bits off, and then I'll just move my part on the bed so it will print around the tears and the holes and things that are on the blue painter's tape, because I hate redoing it. So yeah, that's the sort of place I'm in. Aaron Powell says, just found your channel, what's the best 3D software you use? Do you know, I use Fusion 360, which you can get for free as an educational account, and I think there's a free version too. But 3D Builder, surprisingly enough, on Windows is actually pretty good to use. You can just merge parts together and create basic shapes. I use the Flash print software, which is really nice actually. Let's I can load it up for you and show you something. So let's just show you the last thing I printed. So I don't know if it's going to load up here yet. So they've got a stupid ad on this now, but this is the Flash print software, and this is the monster that I printed. So as you can see, you can just, oh my word. The computer is not liking streaming and messing about with the Flash print thing very much. Oops. Hopefully you can still see what's going on here. I don't know if it's really streaming anymore. Everything's gone black. The streaming window's also gone black. So if you can see anything in the comments, do let me know. But oh, okay, it's back. Let me try that one more time. Okay, I will do it without moving the thing very much. So this is Flash print, and you can get loads of bits of software like Cura and stuff like that, and Simplify 3D, but it's just essentially slicer software. But this one does something cool. In fact, if I delete, so this is my monster. Oh shit! Sorry, I swore. I shouldn't have done. I'm just going to have to close it down again because using the, for some reason no, don't save. I had to downgrade my graphics driver, all right, and that was because the Adobe Suite stopped working with it. It stopped. It would stop anything when it tried to render. It would just crash. What we can do is use. Let me just bring it over here because I don't want to bring it up there. So you can load up, in fact, not that one. Let's go for, I'm just going to find a picture of myself for no particular reason, obviously. Is there a picture of me? There probably isn't, you know. Yeah, there's a picture of me. Let's load that up. Right, so when I can't move the other window now, but trust me, it's going to convert this image. So inside this software, we have this ability to convert an image into one of these transparent planes. So if I just click OK, all I've done is import a JPEG, and it's turned it into a, like, kind of disgusting. If you had that tryptophobia, you would be disgusted right now, but it's turned it into a 3D image. So the idea is that you can see that in normal light, but if you shone light through it, then you would actually get to see the image. So that's me with the 3D printer. It's a thumbnail from that video that I did ages ago. It's the benefit of keeping all of these like videos. So yeah, it's kind of cool. It's not as featureful as like Cura or Simplify 3D. So if I just go to print this, I'll just click OK and just save it there. That's fine. And God, that's going to take a while, isn't it? I hope that's not slowing down everything else. And dropped frames are at 14, so I'm dropping a few. Oh yeah, Miggy says we're all adults medically. Yeah, but YouTube has this thing about content flagging now if you swear, so. Maggie said you should stream from the banana pie. I'm sure the 8 cores would be good for streaming. Yeah. Lighttech says, where do you manufacture your PCBs? Support local manufacturers or send it to Asia? I always send it to Asia. If I could afford to support local manufacturers, I would. But honestly, if I only wanted a short run of like 3 PCBs, it would easily cost me £70. Do I have any experience with JLC PCB? No, I don't. I haven't heard of them, unfortunately. Lithopane, that is the right thing, yeah. So it does this cool thing for you, and I only really realised this the other day, so it's kind of all right. I like it. I'm obviously not going to print a picture of myself, but it's kind of cool. So let's say if you wanted to make a 3D printed light box or something for kids, you could do the pi symbol on one side and get them to name what it is when it lit up or something. I just like this kind of, you can think about all the different, look at 3 hours to make that darn thing. That seems excessive to me. There's lots of options and cool sort of projects you can make. Anthonor says, what cheap PCB manufacturers do you use in Asia? Well, I use Oshpark, and I'll be using Dirty PCBs. I think I've already had some from Dirty PCBs. But they're essentially American companies, but they offload all their production to China as far as I know. PCB does 10 PCBs for $2. That's insane. I assume that's quite a small PCB. Wow. Anyway, that's it for tonight, I'm afraid, lads and ladies. Hopefully there's at least one lady here, because I like to encourage women into technology. We've got several students at the place where I work. I won't name it, but it's a university, who are female in the electronics club, and they come up with some awesome ideas, and the lads just sit there quietly, not saying a thing, because that's what they're like. So yeah, anyway, thank you very much for joining me. If there are any last minute questions, then I will hang around to answer, but I've got nothing more extra to say to you. Other than this, I'll update you when this changes. When I've actually sorted out the schematic, we'll start looking at how we're going to source components and stuff, and I'll send the boards off to print. In fact, we'll probably get MJ UK, hello and welcome. We'll send the boards off, and we'll probably get a little test batch. We'll figure out how we're going to get the components, because they're going to be well expensive. So yeah, we'll do a little tester first, and then, I mean, I'm going to take advice from you guys, or hints, tips, whatever, and we'll figure it out together, and then maybe we can do some more in the future. Sort of like crowdsourcing my market intelligence, I guess. All right. I'm like talking and waving to you like I'm on camera, but I haven't even got the camera on. I'm going to click the stop button now, so that means I'm going to go. So peace out all, and I'll speak to you all soon.